In my group. So we're gonna go live on my personal profile, and then we're gonna share it into the group. So what else you busy working on, man?
Well, our big thing is really, how can we leverage AI to get more leads for practices? So
Hmm.
we're definitely moving towards, man, I built 11 different micro apps. Uh, I'd love to share some of this stuff with you,
For sure.
personally and see what you think. Just like I
Sure.
think I shared that one of those apps with you already that kind of spawned this discussion.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. All right, we are live. We're in the group. We're live, and got my buddy, Mr. David Strait from eRehab, the marketing guy, with us. And David, awesome to catch up, man. It's probably been, I mean, I know we've both been pretty busy. It's been like at least 6 months or so for like since we've chatted. I don't
yeah.
think we've I don't think we've talked since the conference. I don't know.
I think once or twice we touched base, but
Uh-huh.
we've both been pretty busy.
Yeah, well, it's good to catch up. I know you've been busy, and I think what prompted this was I think we kind of connected and you were kind of showing me a tool
Yeah,
that you had that you were excited about, and I was like, man, we should get this out to the people, you know?
sure.
So I think we could spend a little time together just kind of reviewing what you're working on. And because it sounds like, I know before we pressed record or before we pressed went live, you were kind of getting pretty passionate about AI and what AI is doing on the marketing side. So,
Yeah,
man, what do you have for us today?
sure. So, well, thank you first of all. It's always awesome to connect with you and the opportunity to present to the group, our colleagues here. And this is the stuff I love. And so, I we talked about, I was sharing with you some micro apps and things I've done and some tools I built and stuff, and then we talked about how AI is impacting marketing for PT practices. So we've been involved with AI. Man, I signed up in November 2022 when ChatGPT,
Mhm.
started. I presented to PP at the private practice section in 2023 on AI. I just love this stuff because it has such great potential. But as we were talking about before we started, there's so much novelty. There's so many different options and things you could do. Um, I think it's critical that people focus. And so one of the areas I wanted to help people focus on today um, was, where they spend their time, where they spend their marketing dollar. I work with small practices, usually 5 locations or less. Majority of them are, 1 to 3. Um, and they have limited budgets. So if you're at all in tune with marketing these days and you're hearing about AI left and right, you may think, well, gosh, um, all my patients they're no longer going to Google to find physical therapy practices. They're going to ChatGPT or they're looking on Gemini or Copilot. Um, some of you have heard of Claude. Claude is really an AI coding, has some incredible options there. Perplexity, great research tool. But the reality is that while you see a lot of these things coming through your social feeds, perhaps about patients moving to there, and then that's usually paired with SEO is dead or ranking on the search engines is dead. People aren't going to Google and searching for PT practices anymore. So you need to be in the conversation on ChatGPT. And the reality is that I wanted to know because I love AI and I love helping. There's nothing that gives me more joy than hearing from one of my clients that somebody came in from the internet, the web, because that's what we do. We do it well. And so I had the question: are people using these tools at all to find practices? Well, since I've been doing this for quite some time, I saw websites come and certainly stake their claim or they have value. And then, of course, there was social media and then mobile and then, funnels and ads, advertising. All these novelties have come to be. And, a lot of agencies like to jump on the bandwagon and sell this new stuff. So I asked, are physical therapy patients actually using AI? Do they actually use AI to find practices? And so I have the luxury of serving private practices. So I asked some of my clients, hey, let's survey your patients and ask. So that's exactly what we did. We surveyed patients in three different income demographics, in two in California and one in Colorado. And we asked the question, are you using AI to research your problem? Are you using AI to find a practice? Are you using Google? And are you going to the website? And the numbers, I mean, what do you think? It's AI, right? It's 2026.
Of
AI,
course, AI is doing everything,
exponential,
right?
exponential. We can hardly imagine what exponential is, right? Our lives are linear. Um,
That means a lot, I think.
that is a hard concept for people to us as human beings to grasp the idea of exponentiality.
Mhm.
And but the reality is it's just not what's happening in physical therapy. Also, we have the luxury of seeing data across, hundreds and hundreds of practice websites. And when people say SEO is dead, one of the main symptoms would be what? Nobody's coming to my website anymore. I'm losing my traffic. And in a lot of industries, the trends, that is the case. But with physical therapy, it tends to lag behind in a lot of ways because it's a specialty. So it is direct to consumer in markets, micro economies because practices have advertised it that way. But when they see that ad, they're not going to ChatGPT and saying, "Hey, who is this guy? And are they any good? And should I use them? And they specialize in my shoulder problem." It just doesn't happen. In our surveys, I have the data, 638 people. I don't know if is that something I can share my screen, right?
Yeah, I think you can.
See, I can send you a request, but if not, we can talk through it.
Yeah, you
Uh,
should be able to share now.
okay, let's see if we can get that up there. And I will share this screen right here, and I'll pop this one over. All right. So you see that okay? Zoom in a
Yeah,
little.
I'm gonna make sure
How's
they
that?
can see it on the live.
Yeah.
Yep, should be good to
So,
go.
so practice owners, they're busy, you know, running their business. That's what you teach them how to do very well. Being leaders, that's what you teach them how to do very well.
Yeah.
They have maybe some marketing people, or they hire an agency like us. And so the question is, where do I spend my money and my time? And when they hear all this chatter about, patients are going to ChatGPT, my question is, do they? So we asked those fundamental questions, a very elegant, simple survey, and we asked 638 people across three income demographics. 26% used Google, only 11% used AI at all, and 3% used it to find clinics. And my first thought was, well, since this is kind of an exponential
Mhm.
adoption, maybe things have changed. The numbers haven't changed since January. It's March now. I had over two. I had 266 data points there. It really hasn't changed at all. The big picture is that even with younger people, the younger people are using it a little bit,
Mhm.
but the numbers are still really tiny. So, what are AI users searching for? You know, only six people, 6 out of 70 that used AI were finding a clinic. Websites still matter. SEO is not dead. Traffic is flat, meaning that it hasn't really changed. It's that people are still going to your website when they do this. So we look at one thing I wanted to mention, and one of the reasons I like to bring up this chart is because our lower income bracket is mainly Medicaid patients. Those patients are all strictly referred. They get a referral that they have the authorization to go get care, and they hardly use the web at all. They just call in, get their
Mhm.
appointment. So that does skew the data some, but our data is consistent with what we've seen, like in Pew Internet surveys, these large national surveys. Lower income doesn't use the web much, middle income some, and upper income, which is correlated with education level, tends to use this information more. So our survey is pretty clear, and we're going to continue to do some follow-up work on this, that patients aren't really using AI yet. Now, will they? I think they absolutely will. As
Mhm.
things evolve, as Google really changes things, there'll be a time I can envision in the not too distant future where as people start to adapt in this human behavior of chatting or seeking out answers, that will be the primary way that people communicate with these answer engines or these large language models. And then they will be having more of these conversations. But right now, if you've ever tested this, and it's really fun to do, go have a conversation with ChatGPT and ask them about a problem somebody might have, and it's really kind of all over the place and it takes a very long time, and we live in the now economy, right, where everybody wants things done yesterday, and speed is what people are that's what they desire. So to go through a long, laborious chat for some is not going to be the best way to do it. And they much rather put in keywords and get a result that they're used to seeing. And that's still happening, and it will continue to happen for some time, I think, when they're in the transactional phase of buying. That means they know they need physical therapy. And the question is, where do I find my physical therapy? Do I search for physical therapy near me? Do I search for physical therapy in my community? Do I search for just physical therapy itself, or do I know a company and therefore I search by brand? But as people and these large language models evolve, they're going to get better. They're going to catch up with this stuff, and then you're going to see that number rise. But I looked at a chart from a popular influencer in AI, and the things you can do in the high tech businesses are phenomenal. I mean, the idea of having digital employees and these agents, which an agent is one of the definitions is that it does things on its own and it learns from its
Mhm.
own behavior and becomes
Mhm.
better without any feedback or input. Um, those things are happening now, and they're replacing jobs and skills and such um, for efficiencies and additional profit. But it's just not happening for mainstream America when it comes to just the typical things that they do. Um, so the short answer is, you're not missing out on anything. You want to have an SEO strategy where you rank for the common searches that people do, the transactional searches by far. That's where the all the money is. Physical therapy near me, physical therapy in your city, and then of course a brand search, which is the most common one. And if you don't believe me, I get it. I'm a marketer, so trust is an issue. But go look at your performance analytics on your Google business profile, and you'll see that those are the keywords that matter. And then sometimes specialty services like dry needling or vestibular or pelvic floor, pelvic physical therapy will be in there too, especially if you provide one of those specialties, because that's when your listing is going to show up, your maps listing is going to show up. But you don't need to worry. But you really should, I think, prepare and have this on your radar when it comes to you know the way human behavior is going to change. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I just used ChatGPT and typed in physical therapist in Picayune, Mississippi to see what
Mhm.
would pop up, and I
Yeah.
actually ranked second on the search,
Well, that's
which
because, yeah, I was going to bring that up. That's an e-rehab thing, because
uh no,
before
no, go ahead.
you rank there because of your website and what we've been doing. We've been doing the
Oh, for
things that
sure.
large language models like, as you will see when we go through our list, for a very long time, because it's not unexpected, right? If I
Yeah.
need to learn about Adam Robbins, you know, Southern Therapy Clinic in Picayune, well, I'm going to go look at his website, right? I'm going to go look at his reviews, and
Hmm.
I'm going to see what's on his reviews. So, and that as I go into that list, I will kind of share things with you. But that's not uncommon that our clients rank really well. And if you're in a community that's not very competitive, they got to show something. And if you have a decent website and a decent Google business profile, I've got to pull information from somewhere. I've got to aggregate this data
Right.
so I can present a result. And so if you just follow some fundamentals, you're going to be okay probably for quite a while.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah. Yeah.
I get these people that are so, they're people are calling me and they're showing me reports and the world is changing and I'm screwed, and I got to spend some more money on this and got to go down this rabbit hole instead of following first principles in marketing, like, is this the way people behave? And then it gives them anxiety. And correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, isn't there plenty of anxiety in the market that we're in nowadays?
I'm trying to just get that out of my life. I'm trying to just get that. Yes,
It's
yes,
darn hard to run a
yeah.
private practice. You've got
Yeah,
to,
you lying.
thank goodness for you guys to help them, get their head straight and understand the numbers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And we like to focus on the fundamentals. You said one of the funniest things to me one time, and you won't remember, but you said, Dave Straight, I think he's almost against marketing. And I thought that was the funniest statement. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. But the reality is that I'm not against marketing. I'm against just doing
Wasting your money.
the bright and shiny objects, the
Right,
silver
right,
bullets, the
right.
the I'm scattered all over the place, the I'll throw this tactic against the wall and see if it sticks and I get a
Hmm.
couple patients.
Hmm.
Letting the tail wag the dog. Somebody walked in my door and said they found me on ChatGPT. I'm missing out on those
Yeah, got to
things.
put $1,000 a month on that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, exactly. And you guys teach this, this, we teach this. Follow the data, follow first principles. Every popular athlete, when they struggle, I'm a huge fan of golf and golfing now. I watched Brooks Koepka, who's won 5 majors, right?
Hmm.
I watched him spend several hours on the putting green doing the same thing over and over and over again, fundamentals. And so
Totally.
it's you say the same thing, apply the fundamentals to your
Yep,
business, and it'll help you navigate through
for
the uh,
sure.
the murky waters that we're in. So
Yeah, I was just actually having a conversation with a team member before this call, and
yeah,
I had to remind her like, hey, getting good isn't about doing fancy things. It's about making the fundamentals even simpler. Like, get simple, 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 and get it to where you can breathe and eat and sleep the fundamentals, and that is what unlocks the talent, the skill, right?
yeah, that's the
So,
talent you need to nurture, right? So,
for
yeah,
sure, for sure. The other thing that because I don't know as much about this stuff as you do, obviously, but if I understand correctly, these language models like ChatGPT, don't they leverage the internet as their primary source of information. So I would assume they leverage like Google and your website and search listings, search
directories,
directory
yeah.
listings, right?
So the big ones are your Google Business Profile, Bing, Yelp, Apple Business Connect.
Right. So
Um,
that's where my understanding is these language models will find reliable sources of information where you show up consistently to and the degree in which you show up consistently on those reliable places is what gives you credibility to these large language models. And so I
yeah,
guess what I'm trying to say is like it still feels like SEO is driven by SEO still drives the bus on where you would show up on these language models anyway. Am I
yes,
thinking about that the right way, or am I thinking
yeah.
about it the
That is,
wrong
that
way?
is that is certainly a good way to think about it. The question really is how does you know, how does a large language model define, credibility,
Right, right,
reliability, validity? And it gets it wrong. It
totally.
certainly gets it wrong quite a bit. And when it doesn't, and this is not to get too geeky, but to get into the nature of the way that the programs are designed, it's a giant vector database that has different areas of information. And if it's void of information about a particular topic that is asked, it's going to try to find an answer for you. And sometimes it hallucinates, which is making assumptions. And sometimes that information is just fundamentally wrong. And the other thing is that what I like to say is, I think when it comes to local business, Google is still going to be the king
Hmm.
here, because they have a 30-year head start on ChatGPT. Now, things of development and innovation has, come to be in an exponential way. If your head starts to spin with the new things that come out when it comes to AI. And my piece of advice for people that are thinking about how could I leverage I would say forget AI. Don't even think about AI. Ask yourself the business question. This is what you tell them. Where's an area that I can improve my effectiveness or my efficiency? And then say, how can AI specifically help me with that?
Mm,
Rather than going out and looking at all the business tools and saying, which
totally.
business tools might be able to help
Dude,
me?
you're preaching to the choir now. People
Yeah,
make the same mistake with deciding which EMR to pick. They think that their EMR is going to solve all their problems. And it's like, well, your systems kind of suck. So why don't we solve that problem? And then we can use
right.
EMR as a tool to help, that kind of thing. So I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah. So I think of it as a digital employee and think about, and again, well, there'll be a time soon enough where when things are more secure, you will have, you know, agents running multiple agents, perhaps doing things for you to provide you business data, business intelligence, um, and it already exists, and that
Sure.
in the EMR world, because that's where all the data lies, right? Billing and EMR, that's where all the data lies. So that's going to get better and better. But the question then is what's actionable? And
Mhm.
then of those actionable items, where can I leverage my staff and AI to execute? It's not about, I mean, information's a commodity now. Everybody can get it.
Totally.
It's all about focus and execution.
100%. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, and if you do that, I think you can do really well. In that spirit, I think it's a decent time to transition to
Let's do it.
some thoughts that I have about how people can kind of think about being prepared for AI.
Let's do it.
Um, and if I'll tell you this, if you ask me this next year, it may all change because
Yeah.
that's the nature of things.
Okay.
But my first question would be, why don't you just survey your patients yourself?
100%.
Why not just and our survey, and this is an open invitation for any. I know you have a ton of e-rehab clients that are, you know,
Mhm.
being trained and learning from you. Any of the e-rehab clients that want to do this and really figure out what's going on in their community, it's an open invitation. Please contact me and be part of, this body of knowledge that we can share with our colleagues. And it's all you do is you present them a QR code, they scan it, and they answer 3 questions, 4 questions. And there's no typing. It's click, click, click.
Yes.
And so if they want to do it, ours was at this, I kind of put this together when we had 266 data points and then I assimilated everything. But ask your patients if they're using it and just
Hmm.
know, don't guess. Don't depend on somebody that markets for chiropractors or medical doctors
Yes.
says AI is the thing. Just know your market and you can do
Hmm.
it super simple. And I would love to support you in that. And I would, if anybody wants it, let me know. I'd love to
For
do it
sure.
with you too, Adam.
Yeah,
I'll,
yeah,
I'll
for sure.
I'll definitely connect with you on that. The second one, focus on search engine optimization, just like we talked about. Um, Focus on the transactional keywords. Put your money there. That's where you want to put your money. Um, Trying to optimize for other searches like physical, even a knee physical therapy in your city. That search is very rare. And if you just have a page on your website about that, you're likely to rank. But the competitive words, the words the patients are using where they want to actually see you and say, hey, I might choose that practice. I might call them or push a button and request an appointment. It's still physical therapy near me, physical therapy in your city, and your clinic name. Okay. If you have a huge budget and you want to try to go after the long tails or these rare searches, well, you can do that kind of thing. But again, I recognize that most of my clients, even the cash-based ones, they don't have the types of budgets and the people to
Mm.
follow up to see if the results are coming in. So again, these are your guidelines. Page structure for your web developer, or especially your do-it-yourselfers. Okay, if you have a company that's doing SEO for you, they're probably structuring your page properly. But on a web page, the right thing to do with SEO is you have headings. This is H1. This is the
Hmm.
big topic with the information. And then there's our secondary heading, our H2
Hmm.
and our H3.
Hmm.
You mentioned about how, the large language models go out and the term is index. They're reading this information.
Right.
They like to read things that they understand, and they're humans. So they
Mm-hmm.
don't have a lot of intuition, though they're gaining it. So you give them good structure, and then they can easily assimilate that into their database of
Right.
information about you. So something as simple as having good structure, and that's certainly something we do with our clients, and like your website, for example. Google reviews. Google reviews continue to be one of my favorite things in the entire world for people to do when it comes to marketing online, because not only does it help gain trust, it's 98% of consumers read ratings and reviews. 82% are persuaded by them. 70% will choose them over a doctor. 64%, I think the number is, prefer Google reviews over a referral from their generalist to a specialist, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's just this massive distrust in society. And I think COVID kind of perpetuated that. We got so much mixed information and people are not clear. So what do they defer to? They defer to their fellow community members who have been to these businesses and experienced care. And when somebody has three, four, five, six, eight, 900 reviews, they're like, man, my peers, that's so many and so many positive. I'm probably going to have that experience too. That's the social proof. But more than that, um, it helps you rank higher in Google. And when people are including those keywords in their reviews, Google loves to read that too. Just like you said, I'm going to go back to this over and over again because it's correct. People, they need information about you. So, and when Google loves to control all its information, and when people write reviews on Google, it's going to read that information. So if you mentioned pelvic floor therapy, I did vertigo rehab. I saw Adam Robin, orthopedic specialist, and that's in the reviews. And people are looking for those long tail keywords, meaning they don't show up too often, that you're likely to show up. So you will,
Right.
if you do some of those rare searches, you'll actually see some of the MAPS listings, and it's highlighted. We've seen that in vestibular and pelvic floor especially.
Mm-hmm.
So Google reviews are a source of data that people that you want to get from people so that Google can help rank you better. It has a better idea of what you do. Um, and how you do it, and then they read it and they index it, and it becomes a database about you.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to say your website. There's two places that we call your destination of truth. These are things that you can control that are accurate. Okay, your website is one of those, right? You get to put on there what is truthful and accurate about you. There's no assumptions, there's no hallucinations, there's nothing that's mixed up or wrong. It's your destination of truth. The other one is your Google business profile. Your Google business profile, you want to actively be publishing content on there. You want all the optimization to rank for those transactional keywords I talked about, but you want your services and your products to be up to date. You want an accurate overview. So that's something that we have experimented with to see if we can manipulate results, and that's starting to come into play. But that's with respect to how you rank on Google. That's SEO, but it's also going to be a source of truth for these large language models, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, Copilot, to index and to learn about you. And then when people ask those unusual questions, there's thousands of questions people could answer. But if you're part of that, if people have mentioned that in reviews or on your Google business profile or your website, these destinations of truth, then you're more likely to be part of the conversation. So that's certainly something that is so powerful. Google reviews are such a great marketing multiplier. Um, schema, schema is it's just a machine language. It's invisible code that's in the on the back end of your website, but it's really just a code that these machines are reading that tells Google and AI who you are. It's just a kind of think of it as a nomenclature or their own language. Think of it as labels. And without it, it's a little bit harder for the search engines and the large language models to guess. Uh, I can certainly envision in the very near future that schema will not matter because it will get so good at just reading the natural language. It already is that
Mm-hmm.
it won't matter. But right now, schema matters. Another super important part. that you should definitely have on your website, your destination of truth. Um, Google has these, they call it EEAT, expertise, authority, trust, and there's one other. But within that, they use another term. It's this YMYL. Basically, it means your money or your life. So they look at websites and information about healthcare providers.
Mm,
They say that information better be accurate. It better
mm,
be up to date. It better not violate any of our terms and conditions, because if it's not, people could suffer. That's why they call it, YMYL, your money or your life, with inaccurate information. If you kind of look at it and conversely and you say, well, if I have lots of good information about my expertise, my specialty, and we don't, I always say we don't save too many lives, really. We just make lives a lot better.
mm,
That's what physical therapists do. And if you have good information about all your specialties and all the things that you do, where you've been to school, your advanced degrees, your credentials, all of that stuff on there, that's more information that you can feed to the large language models so they have a better picture of you. And I've seen a lot of, staff pages, which is the second most commonly visited page on your website, that have maybe 3 or 4 sentences on there, not much. So take that as an opportunity to build out those staff biographies and do it in such a way that you're using headings and subheadings and bullets, because people don't like to read big blocks of text, um, and share all of those important things. And we're more of the your money thing. Physical therapy is the best first choice for most musculoskeletal, neuromusculoskeletal problems. That's for sure. The money tells us so. So expand on that. Make sure that that's authoritative. We talked about briefly, I talked about business directories and
mhm,
citations. They should be consistent for sure. Okay. And that's your name, address, phone number, your web address, and then other consistent information on there, because they index those. The other thing is having fresh signals. Have a live digital presence, and that's why we have we put up to date news feeds on our clients. We want to make sure that their reviews, there's fresh content next time they come back on there. That there's new pages that we just added our what we call our trust bar in the bottom. That's all new information for our clients. Keep your website up to date with fresh content, and then these large language models will come back if they see fresh content, that you're an authority in your
mhm,
space. As I mentioned before, the Google Business Profile, make sure it's completely filled out, optimized, and that you have your products and services filled in there. And then the other thing is, how do we know any of this is working? So this is a little word of caution. If somebody says they have the data to support that you're not showing up, they're just doing random searches. There is no Google Search Console, which would be Google Search Console is really talks about where you show up and where you rank and how many people are clicking. That doesn't exist, because these answer engines and these conversations people are having they're around tens of millions of different variants of conversation. So they're starting to talk about, it's not so much where you rank, but how much you show up in conversations. And there will be tools developed, and they will eventually be released by Google and ChatGPT for businesses to help them know how often they're showing up, but they don't exist yet. There
mhm,
isn't good data to know. So it's one of those things that if you were to spend money on it, and I was just talking to somebody that spent 6 grand on this, and they're like, I don't think it did anything for me
mhm,
at all, but they got caught up in it all. And there's no data to tell you what's going on, right? And before I did this, I was looking at your website, and I looked at basically a year's worth of data, and you'll see this. And we like Clicky instead of Google Analytics because it's just so much easier to understand. But this is the time frame. I did 320 to 3/19/2026, so last year to this year.
mhm,
So basically 7,897 visitors, homepage, staff page, all the normal stuff. But then we look at something as simple as searches, and then we'll look at engines. Well, if somebody came from ChatGPT, it would be right here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see
Out of
it?
one.
No, and we used to see it a little bit, and we used to see five or six or three or four. You know who that was? That was practices looking for, am I on ChatGPT? And
Mm-hmm.
then they're like, they might be like you did. So that will, if I refresh this report, if you clicked on the link to your website, you probably get a one here. But again, more kind of indirect data. It's indirect because somebody'd have to see you on ChatGPT and click on a link for it to register as a visitor to your website, that's what this is reflecting, right? But we're not really seeing that. We're just not really seeing that. So it just doesn't make a ton of sense to spend a lot of money on there, but you can prepare by doing these things. So, we already do this for our clients. This checklist. The other thing is we spend hours and hours on all this kind of stuff. So if this is where I think whether it be us or some other agency, if you're going to go down this path, you can do it yourself, but you really need to know that they understand your market and not just any and all small business markets. We only serve private practices, and if I spend 8 hours on this, that's a long time, but I can afford to give a little bit of time to each one of my practices
Mm-hmm.
and figure out how they're doing. So that's really, we just have such a strong advantage in this space to understand. But these are the 10 things that people I think should be prepared for and start doing now. It really starts with, good SEO. Figure out if they're looking at all. Ask the question, you know, run a simple uh, Google survey. Focus on your SEO and your page structure. Get your reviews. Make sure you build out your bio. Schema is something you definitely should have, and your web developer will know about that. Make sure your directories are consistent, especially the big five: Google, Bing, Yelp, Apple Business Connect, and Facebook. Have those fresh signals and your Google business profile, and then recognize that there's no really good way to measure these things at this time. So, anyways, that's the list that John and I came up with as we were going through this stuff. So that's really the state of AI when it comes to searching for PT private practice right now, as the data, and I say it's our data, and it's a subset of all the data out there. Others may find different things, but I really, really doubt it because I know experientially over all these years of doing this, with social and with mobile and with, ratings and reviews and ads and stuff that these cycles repeat. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
nature of this. So.
Yeah, when I see this list, I think, yeah, it sounds like stuff we're already doing, So, question, does Facebook help with SEO, like
Uh,
organic Facebook?
Well, the problem, it may be a little bit. Remember in 2023, there are 14,000 different factors that were revealed
Mm-hmm.
in a document, a giant document that was released. Um, the the problem with it is if you have a lot of good followers, active followership, lots of engagement, um, uh, that those things probably help a little bit. They help a little, 1% kind of thing, less than 1% kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not a reason to focus on it if you don't focus on the fundamentals first. I could tell you that ratings and reviews in media. If you want to rank in Google Maps, ratings and reviews in media after you just optimize your Google business profile
When you
are
say
all the
media, what do you mean media?
pictures and video.
On
Just adding
Google?
adding those to your Google business profile.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, I noticed that we do really well on Google, like in our areas.
Yeah.
Um, we pretty much dominate it, and obviously we work with your team, and you guys help a lot with that. But I think that I'm kind of guessing here, but I feel like what we do well is we consistently get reviews. I mean, I think that's something that we do a lot of, and we're consistently competitive at the top of the Google the maps uh, search maps. The second thing that we do is we I think that we just do a good job of getting in the community and building referral relationships, like outside of digital, right? And a lot of word of mouth, when people are driving referrals your way, those people are going to Google to find you, right? So, for instance, if I go to a physician that I know and we market to them, and that physician gives a patient a referral and says, "Hey, go see Adam over at Southern PT Clinic." A lot of times, that person is going to pick up their phone and go straight to Google and type in Southern Physical Therapy Clinic, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So it's like I feel like it's an indirect measure. Like I don't know if you can have the data around that, but we do the basics. You know what I mean? Like we do the
Well, here's a good way to summarize that, I think. We're having the same conversation now as we did 3 years ago.
totally,
When we talked
totally.
about this, you said to me, you said, well, I've learned about all these complex, funnels and all of
Tried
these
that.
this expensive things. A lot of people have tried that and failed. And to be fair, some have succeeded with that. It's not that it's a bad tactic, but there's no absolute. There are just
Sure.
some things that work better than others.
Hmm.
Um, and we talked back about the fundamentals. Let's make sure it's the R5. That's my system, the R5 system. Make sure you rank. Make sure you have a great reputation. Make sure you have a great rehab website. Make sure you retain your patients with email marketing, the most effective as far as return on investment goes. And make sure that you have some sort of reach or presence on social. Understanding that the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to publishing your organic content on your Facebook and Instagram accounts comes from you sharing your company and your culture to people that might want to work for you.
Mm,
Because I asked a friend of mine that was a regional director for hundreds of practice locations, and another friend of mine here, he's got 21 locations. And I said, why do you publish so much? You know that organic reach is not great unless you're posting reels. As you know, if you post reels, you will get people that see you that are not your followers,
hmm
but
hmm
but but the search network, or sorry, the social networks will try to open up your reels to people that have a similar interest,
hmm
but not your followers. So if you don't get a lot of uh, your message showing up to your followers and you're posting things that are not reels, what's the value? The value is that when you give people a window into your company and your culture through social media, then that's one of the factors they look at when they're like, yeah, should I work for Adam?
Totally.
And they look at your website and they
100%.
look at your reputation. Those are the three
100%.
things online. Well, that's the same things we've always talked about. And then you always said, and I like this, just be your hero in your community.
Yeah.
Go out and own what you do. Be the professional you are and have those conversations. And those things, they take time.
It's
They're not
work.
complex, but they do take time, right? Yes, it's work.
It's
But if you
work.
if you focus and you eliminate the distractions and you leverage other people's expertise in these other areas, your EMR company, perhaps your billing company, or your staff that do that, or and a marketing agency for just the digital stuff, the fundamentals, and then you just focus on the high value things for yourself, your business usually, you usually survive, and oftentimes, you can thrive still in this tough business we're in.
Totally, man. Man, I really appreciate the time.
Sure.
I'm glad you shared that. It's good to catch up. It's good to know that the basics are still driving the bus on marketing. Um, I do want to make sure people, because there's probably going to be people that see this that don't know you or don't know where to find you. Like, what's the best way to get in touch with you to see if maybe you could help people with this?
Yeah, the easiest thing you can do is just go to my website, e-rehab.com, e-rehab.com, and just click on the big old orange button and schedule some time with me.
Oh, you guys
And
updated your website some.
yeah, we added in, the old social proof.
Hmm.
There's this guy on there I know.
Oh, there's me. Yeah, yeah.
There.
Cool.
So
Super
these
cool.
are a couple of really successful cash-based practitioners.
Hmm.
She's less than a year and doing 395 visits a month.
Nice.
Yeah, she's crushing it. And why? People would want to know why. Well, she's a specialist.
Uh-huh.
She's in Vegas and she's pelvic floor and
Hmm.
lymphedema, and she's number 2 on the search engines. So and it does drive a ton of business. And the great story about Heather is that I'll take some credit because she came to me and she said, "How do I market my practice digitally online?" And then she went to my former business partner, my good friend Paul Gaspar, and he said, "Just do this stuff." And she just did that stuff. She never
Dude,
questioned it. She just did it. Just if they went to Adam and Nathan and
I
and you
love
guys
it.
said, "Just do this stuff," right? And she did it, and
Just
she
do
was
these
very successful.
behaviors. Have you been listening to Alex Hormozy?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah,
like just do this
do
stuff.
this stuff. Yeah, that's
I
right. And
love
she's
it.
done really well. So that's an exciting story
Yes.
and we've got lots of success stories. But yeah, connect with me. You connect me with me if you have questions. If you have any thoughts on AI, e-rehab clients, if they want to participate, I will share with you how you can, scan a QR code. And I would love data from the South. That would be valuable data to know how your local community behaves when it comes to utilization. And cross my fingers if PPS accepts me, I'll be presenting this data in November as
Nice.
well. So, but I don't know if they're going to take me on. But I think it's good for everybody to kind of know what the state of digital marketing is and how consumers are behaving as it pertains to finding practices like yourselves and our colleagues.
Good deal, man. Well, hopefully I'm sure we'll cross paths again. And
Yeah, sure.
next time you have something fun to talk about and something burning that you feel like the practice owners need to know, let's reach out and we'll do this again.
Yeah, I got some as you know, we talked a little bit about micro apps and stuff and things like that. So
For
we
sure.
can certainly talk about those things and see if those make sense for you and others too. So it's a cool world we live in where we don't have to buy expensive software anymore. We can just build our own software.
Build your own stuff. Yep.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole. It's a distraction. Shouldn't be done for private practice owners. You make your money treating patients, but
Mhm.
for those that are supporting private practice, it just gives us flexibility and the opportunity to serve our clients in a way that isn't, you know, four figures a month for these
Mhm.
complex things that they really don't need. So
David, appreciate your time, man.
thank you.
See you later.
Always good to see you, Adam. Have a
Yep.
great day.